just got a flashback. This reminds me of a neighborhood I wandered around. I think it was Prague. Got lost, but ended up in a neighborhood in a small cafe, sat and had an espresso. I took the train out, I think. I ended up finding my way back to my hotel, but that reminded me of that neighborhood. Just had a flashback of that. The memories. Yeah, I just decided one day to leave the hotel and just go wander around aimlessly, purposely, not really worried about getting lost. I mean, I could always ask somebody, find my way back. And I did eventually, and saw some cool things on the way. You know, it almost sounds like something's rubbing. I mean, I can kind of hear, even when I'm going slow, like something might be rubbing over there. So I'm heading toward Gettysburg. The battlefield is free, so I think I'm going to go check it out if it's not too busy. It's Veterans Day weekend. Actually, it's Saturday. It's Veterans Day. So driving through all these towns, though, for the last half hour or so, I keep thinking, imagine what these people were feeling. Because some of these houses, I'm sure, were here back then in the 1860s, maybe. Probably. I mean, they look pretty old. But even if the houses weren't here, imagine what the people in this area were thinking and feeling, and how concerned they were that the war was coming so close. I mean, all the way up to Pennsylvania, you know? And the concern they had, and I'm sure all the men were off fighting. When we all went to school, we learned about the Civil War and thought that would be our only Civil War. I don't think we'll have another one. Not in my lifetime. Gettysburg was founded in 1786 and named after Samuel Gettys, an early settler and tavern owner. Although known primarily because it's so close to the battlefield, the borough of over 7,000 residents is also known for its institutions of higher learning. The Lutheran Theological Seminary was founded in 1826, and Gettysburg College was established in 1832. Interestingly enough, Gettysburg College is on unceded indigenous land, including the traditional homelands of several native indigenous peoples, and their connections to this land continues today. Welcome to historic downtown Gettysburg. So it's interesting or fun, I don't know. Anyway, realizing this was a town before there was a battle here. And this whole town, how close the battle was. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Can you imagine right now your hometown being surrounded by enemy? Yeah, a lot of you can. Never mind. Yes. Crazy. Sad. Lincoln Building, November 19th, 1860. Look at that building. Can you see it? 1863. Wow. So the Battle of Gettysburg started July 1st, 1863. That building, the Lincoln Building, was built in 1863. That's interesting. So the battle only lasted 3 days. That's good. Didn't end well for Confederate soldiers. A lot of casualties. And it was a turning point in the war. General Lee, I think, had to turn back, and it was the beginning of the end for the Confederacy, from what I understand. Straight ahead, Soldiers National Cemetery. be a fun little place to come and stay for a weekend, which looks like a lot of people are doing. You know, stay at a nice little historic hotel.
This is the National Cemetery at Gettysburg, where on November 19th, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln delivered his most famous speech at its dedication, the iconic Gettysburg Address, which eloquently transformed the Union cause into a struggle for liberty and equality. In only 272 words, he ended with the following: "From those honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, and that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth."
So I think what I might do is go to the museum and the battlefield and work my way back and stop and go do a little sightseeing. It's still early. I feel like sightseeing a little bit. I'm in no hurry to be anywhere. I end up where I end up tonight. I'm just going to drive until I don't want to drive anymore. I'm even okay with Walmart since I'm desensitized, apparently. Buses and RVs to the left. We have our own special parking lot. Alright, the parking lot is kind of far away. There's the museum, and there I just noticed signs. There's an auto tour. So I'm going to do the auto tour. That'll be fun. It's always fun in an RV. And I don't see the signs for the auto tour anymore. Alright, let's try this again. No bicycles beyond this point. Use black lines located. Okay. Alright. I hope it's not going to disappoint you, but I'm not going to go in the visitor center. I'm not dressed for it. I really didn't plan on doing all this today. And an auto tour is nice because I can do it with Sadie. I am way too attached to my dog. Anybody relate? I'm like, I don't want to go sightseeing without my dog. It's terrible. It's kind of ridiculous. Isn't it? Isn't it? I'm kind of too attached to you. Cemetery Ridge Trail.
During just 3 days of battle, the two armies suffered between 46,000 and 51,000 casualties. Union casualties were 23,000 with over 3,000 killed. They say Confederate casualties were more difficult to estimate. They just retreated and left afterwards, but many say that it was as many as 28,000 casualties, with about 4,700 people killed. The wagon train of dead and wounded Confederate soldiers heading out of Gettysburg was 17 miles long. 17. Well, in researching this while I'm editing, I discovered that the auto tour is supposed to take about 2.5 hours, and you can actually download an app to show you where to go and to narrate it. That would have been so nice to know.
Maybe should have gone into the visitor center and gotten a map of the auto tour, but what fun is that? That's no fun. No relic hunting. This must be the battlefield. Huh.
The Gettysburg battlefield is an area of about 3 1/3 by 5 1/3 miles, or about 17 3/4 square miles.
Oh, I hope this isn't one way. It is. Okay, shit. I was just about ready to give up. on the auto tour. It felt like a wild goose chase, and it led me to the battlefield. So here we are. Let's go check it out. Wait. This right here used to be called McPherson Woods, was the site of the battle the first day of the Civil War, 1863, July 1st. Right here. You can see a lot of big trees have been chopped down. This was the site of the first battle, and I just heard a guide over there say that barn right over there, that was here and became a hospital during the Civil War. It was somebody's barn and it became a hospital. And it's crazy to think that 175 years ago, men were fighting, killing each other here. For what? Thousands of men died. And women too. There are probably some women who died in the Civil War. Probably women who suffered war crimes, because women always suffer war crimes. So there were women casualties as well. But for what? For what? Think about that. Why are wars fought? For what? For the right to enslave other people. For economics. And I did a whole video on the As I See It channel about the Civil War. And how a lot of people want to think that it was about states' rights. And there is evidence after evidence. And you can read the war articles, the articles of war, and the southern people who started the war literally said it was about slavery. Literally, I'll put a link to that video below. I did a whole educational video about it, and how after the Civil War, the lost cause was a whole movement by a bunch of losing Confederates who rewrote history, completely rewrote history to make it about states' rights and not about slavery. It's fascinating history. You can't just believe what they tell you in school, in especially high school. You can't just believe what they tell you. It really is worth digging deeper and learning more about our history. We have to know history. If we don't know our history, we will repeat it. And we're seeing that now. We're seeing that now. That if we don't know our history, we are going to repeat it. Of course, I couldn't come to Gettysburg and not get on my soapbox. You know that. Come on. You know, it's funny. That last segment that I just shot, I shot it and erased it 3 times because I went off on my little soapbox. And I was like, no, you know, I'm not going to do that in this video. I'll just keep it neutral. But every time I turned on the camera, I couldn't, because this isn't the time to keep things neutral. Truth needs to be heard. I mean, you may not like it. You may not like hearing it, but the truth needs to be heard. Because we are repeating our mistakes. Othering other people, you know, othering people, dehumanizing people, never leads to anything good or productive for any of us. So, all right, we're at the North Carolina Monument. Look at that. This is the 26th North Carolina Regiment. Pettigrew's brigade moved toward Gettysburg early in the morning of July 1st, and shortly after noon deployed in line of battle on the ridge, 600 yards facing these woods. Wow. And the 24th Michigan of Meredith's Iron Brigade. The regiment received a calling fire from the opposite bank. The order to advance was made about 2:30 p.m. on nearing Willoughby Run. The regiment, okay, the account of oh gosh, it's hard to read this. Nearing Willoughby Run, the regiment received a calling fire from the opposite bank. By Major Jones's account, the fighting was terrible with the forces, pouring volleys into each other at distance not greater than 20 paces. After about an hour, the regiment had incurred very heavy losses. Colonel Burgwin had been mortally wounded. and Lieutenant Colonel Lane injured. The attack continued until the Union troops fell back through the streets of Gettysburg and took up positions south of town.
The whole reason there was a battle here is because both the Confederates and the Union were trying to get control of a certain road junction in Gettysburg, and it led to a collision of the armies. Determined to destroy the Union Army, Lee decided to immediately concentrate his forces there, while the Union also kept sending reinforcements. The Confederates ended up losing about a third of their army. Mary Seasgull was one of the most documented female soldiers at Gettysburg, but hardly anybody knows her name. After originally venturing to the front as a nurse, Mary endeavored to stay at her soldier husband's side and joined him as a disguised soldier in the 44th New York Infantry. And she ended up wounded but survived. The New York Times reported on July 13, 1863, that she'd been arrested for wearing a soldier's uniform because it was believed that the military garment could not possibly belong to her. So I could have drove this. This is part of the auto tour, but it's nice to be able to get out and walk, stretch my legs. Again, stretch Sadie's legs. It used to just be history. It's just crazy. You know, it's not just history anymore. You know what I mean? What are you doing? You want to say hi? Go say hi. Sadie. Well, Sadie likes this guy. My thanks are especially due to a citizen of Gettysburg named John Burns, who, although over 70 years of age, shouldered his musket and offered his services to Colonel Wister, 150th Pennsylvania Volunteers. Colonel Wister advised him to fight in the woods as there was more shelter there, but he preferred to join our line of skirmishes in the open fields. When the troops retired, he fought with the Iron Brigade. He was wounded in 3 places. This is a Gettysburg report of Major General Doubleday. Sadie knows a hero when she sees one. That was adorable. I'm currently walking on what used to be the McPherson Farm, just a half-mile west of Gettysburg, on the ridge that also bears the name McPherson. The area was the scene of intense fighting on July 1st, 1863, as Confederate General Henry Heth's division advanced toward Gettysburg. Union reinforcements arrived and counterattacked, and fighting swirled through McPherson's pasture lands and 2 fields planted in corn and wheat, as well as through neighbor John Herbst's woods. McPherson's barn became a place of refuge for the wounded and continued as a hospital long after the battle ended. McPherson was a lawyer and journalist who had served in the U.S. House of Representatives from 1859 until 1863. He was a radical Republican, and he lost the election in 1862, after which President Lincoln appointed him Deputy Commissioner of the Internal Revenue. And he was living in Washington at the time of the battle. A guy named John Slens and his family were actually running the farm at the time, and they were ordered out as the fighting on the ridge intensified. And they took refuge in town. They'd returned to find the house ransacked and in use as a hospital. The house later burned in 1895, and the barn is the last survivor of the buildings on this farm. It was restored by the National Park Service in 1978. It's currently used by a local farmer. This monument marks the most advanced line facing west, occupied by the regiment. Repeated changes of front were made to meet assaults from the north and west, and the right wing charged to RR cut. In retiring, it made several stands and engaged the enemy. So all these monuments honor all the brigades who fought here. All the different armies, both Confederate and Union, because people died. And this is where Confederate monuments belong in context
not on government buildings making them heroes. It's funny, you know, my relatives are all over New York and Pennsylvania for a long time, as far as I know. I don't know much. I wonder if any of my relatives fought in the Civil War. They must have. They were here. All the men did, right?
This is the Eternal Light Peace Memorial. It was dedicated on July 3rd, 1938 as one part of ceremonies for the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg. It was also built to commemorate the 1913 Gettysburg Reunion, which was a battlefield encampment of Civil War veterans for the Battle of Gettysburg 50th anniversary. The June 29th to July 4th gathering of 53,407 veterans, about 8,700 of them were Confederate, was the largest Civil War veteran reunion. All honorably discharged veterans in the Grand Army of the Republic and the United Confederate Veterans were invited. And veterans from 46 of the 48 states attended. The only two that weren't there were Nevada and Wyoming. And despite concerns from officials that there might be trouble, it was a very peaceful gathering. That's funny. Orange. Well, a lot of battles, a lot of brigades, a lot of push and shove, war. Wow. It's kind of just crazy. War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Right? Well, I was hoping there was a parking lot over here so that I could make breakfast, but I'm in a bus-only parking space because they don't have any spaces big enough for RVs, so I can't stay here. So let's mosey. Hopefully find a cool place. Maybe we'll go back to the cemetery and park there, make some breakfast, and maybe mosey the cemetery. Let's go see. Continue on with the auto tour. I don't know that I'd want to live so close to this. I don't know. I love the no relic hunting signs, and that says that there's probably still like artillery and bullets, and there's probably stuff that still come up. Wow. Bed and breakfast right here. Wow. It's kind of crazy. Reynolds Avenue. I was on Confederate Avenue, so they have even a name, a street named for the Confederacy. So it's not like we're erasing history. We're not. We're just asking that we don't make heroes of people who were willing to die to enslave other people. Is that too much to ask? It's not woke. It's common sense, common courtesy, decency. Boy, I'm gonna piss a lot of people off with this video if I keep it as is. And I think I will. My hair is so pretty today. So I'm assuming the auto tour is a loop. So I'm heading back around. And I hope it ends up at the cemetery, because that's going to be my next stop. There are many stops on the auto tour, and they're marked and numbered. They're different battles, different points of the three day. It's kind of crazy. It's so famous, and it was only 3 days, but it was a turning point of the Civil War.
I'm not going to stop at all of them. They get a little repetitive for me after a while. So if you ever do make it here, though, I think the bus tour would probably be the way to go. That's what I would do if that's what I was here for. If I were here as a destination, let's put it that way. I'm not here as a destination. I'm here just kind of passing through, and I don't have the patience. Anyway, I'm just passing through, so. Bothering you? This is the camera that doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It won't focus. Yeah. I don't even know what that is. Okay. Oh, it just took pictures, but it won't focus for video. It's gonna sting you. She doesn't care. Did it sting you? B, you should go. Come on, go. Get. Alright, when I'm done eating, I'm going to figure out where I'm going. I don't want to take the interstate. I thought I would, but I don't know. Last night being in that small town, and today realizing how close I was to Gettysburg, and I'm like, I gotta go to Gettysburg. I've never been there. It should have been a class trip when I was a kid, but I don't think it was. Makes me realize I'm in no hurry. I don't have anywhere to be. The weather's halfway decent, so I'm just gonna take my time and mosey. I've gotten used to the different options that I have for where I'm gonna sleep this part of the country, and even if I have to stay at Walmart, that's okay. So, I'm about to do that on my phone. I'll look at Google Maps just to figure out a road to take. And I'll look at some camping options on iOverlander. I would show you, but I'm still filming on my phone. I just tried to use the camera that I dropped in the Atlantic Ocean a couple years ago, and it's still broken. So I've been looking at buying a new camera. I want to invest in a new camera, and I want to up my game, my photography and my videography. I want to be able to bring you guys better quality. I'm just noticing I'm just not real happy with the quality that I'm getting on my cell phone anymore. I've been watching some other nature YouTubers, Lost Lakes. I'm hooked on Lost Lakes, and just inspired me to up my game on my videography and my photography. Plus, it's something I really enjoy doing. So anyway, I've been doing a ton of research looking for my next camera. Something that's good for video and still. And I want something with interchangeable... Sadie's chasing a bee. She eats bees. Something with interchangeable lenses. I really want to up my game on what I can bring you. Crisp, clear shots in nature. Because the cell phone does okay up close, but if I want to get like a nature shot, I think the sensor is super small, so it just ends up blurry, like nothing is in focus unless I have something up close. Like right now I'm in focus, but if you're just doing like a pretty trees or nature, then almost nothing is in focus and it's blurry. Anyway, so I'm looking at some different options without spending $3,000. Coming soon, I will have some new videography. All right. Let's figure out where we're going to go.
This is where I had lunch, at the amphitheater. Look at that tree right there. An oak tree. The stories it could tell. The things that it has witnessed. Wonder how many people have slept under it, died under it, had romantic picnics under it.
So 9 women confirmed died in the Civil War. So women did fight in the Civil War, and one died right here in Gettysburg. I wonder if her grave is in the cemetery. It would take forever to find, probably. But yeah, so women who couldn't even vote, actually African Americans who weren't even considered human, fought. Interesting, huh? People willing to fight even though they didn't have rights. It's crazy. Irish pub. Decided after lunch, I've seen everything I came here to see. I really just wanted to see the battlefield, and I did more than half of the auto tour, so that was interesting. There's so much more to see. It would be really cool to spend maybe, like several days here. There's tons of museums and so much history. It would be really fascinating to spend time here, to make it a destination, and maybe someday I will, but right now it was just a moseying spot and fun. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed hanging out with me. I know there's a lot I didn't see. People are like, too bad you didn't. You missed. Too bad you didn't. No, I just do what I want to do when I'm here, what I feel like doing. I really did plan on having more, but it's 1 o'clock already and I still need to find a place to sleep, and I start getting tired in the afternoon and don't want to do as much. So that's it. That's the story of my life. I'm not a youngin'. I'm not 20 with endless energy. Well, I thought for sure I shot more that day, but apparently I didn't. I ended up sleeping behind a Walmart. So there was just an old industrial area, and I parked with some trucks that were parked there, and it was actually pretty quiet, and I got a good night's sleep. Just a reminder that calendars are on sale, so you're going to save $5 if you order now. My 2024 limited edition, that's what it's called, limited edition, because there's not a million of them. My limited edition 2024 calendars are now on sale. So if you want to get a calendar this year, go ahead and save $5 by pre-ordering using the link in the video description below. That includes shipping. It's $21.99, including shipping and handling. You got to hurry though. That price is going to go up $5 and $7, I think, for international in just a few days. So go ahead and get your order in now. And thank you very much, everybody who already has ordered and everybody who supports my channel in all the ways that you do. It means a lot to me that you're here. And I will see you next time. In the meantime, be happy, be free, and be kind. Bye.